Welcome. We are here with the Cyber Pro podcast, and my name is Loren Dealy Mahler, and we are recording as part of the Cybersecurity Summit here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I am lucky enough and excited to be joined today by Shayla Treadwell, who is not only our co-chair for this year's 2025 summit, but she is also the Deputy Chief Security Officer at Lumen Technologies. So we are going to seize the opportunity today to pick all the smart things out of your brain and make all of our lives better for having listened to this conversation. So thank you for taking time to be here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, excellent. So we're going to jump right in, and as I said, we're gonna take all the wonderful smart things that we can out of Shayla's mind and wrap them all up in a snack-sized package here today. So we will do our best to get started.
Okay.
So, Shayla, you and I know each other.
Yes,
I know some of how you've gotten here, what you've done, and what a broad expanse of expertise that you really bring to this industry, which is so unique and so welcome at a time when we have so much focus and when we are in such what I like to call this era of transformation. And it's not just in cyber, it's across industries. And as cybersecurity, as we all know, stretches across different industries as well, there becomes an implication for what we do to keep up and to stay ahead, even more importantly. As AI has come in and has had this transformative impact, we hear so much from companies and organizations and executives, particularly those charged with securing their organization, that it can oftentimes be hard to figure out where to start, because there's no one-size-fits-all solution. There's no buy this box on the shelf, plug it in, and now we're all set for the future of AI and we're all super safe and secure. What do you recommend in seeing everything from this broad perspective that you have as an approach that companies can take when it's going to be such a unique solution, but they all have to start somewhere?
Sure. I love how you said that you can't just plug something up out of the box and it solves all of your problems. That's not how it works. It sounds kind of nerdy how I'm going to say it, but
we love that here. That's what we do. We embrace it.
You have to remember that the basis of AI comes from statistics.
And tell me more.
It's because in order for AI to work, it's really grounded on predictive analytics. The notion of AI is not something new. It actually was coined many years ago. And as we started to look at how we were using predictive analytics to get things done, it started out with simple tasks. That's the reason why, if you look back in the day when we had shows like the Jetson, we had these robots like Rosie, who was like, going around the house getting stuff done.
I still don't have one, by the way, and I'm still bitter about it.
Yeah, definitely. But the notion of having a technology that can help us with the lowest hanging fruit concepts and things in our lives is something innately that humans wanted for a very long time. If you fast forward from the 1950s all the way to where we are today with AI and understanding that A, it's not new, B, the newest thing with it is that it's accessible by so many people with the creation of large language models. The reality is that it uses statistics and predictive analytics in order to get you those answers. And it's just because it has access to so much data to be able to normalize what that answer should be. So when we start to look at its application to organizations, no matter how big or how small, the basis of that is, what does your data actually say? Do you know where your data is? Is it organized properly? Because the worst thing that you would want to do is to have bad data, use AI, and then take out that answer without a validation technique to say, yes, that answer is in fact right or wrong. So I always tell organizations before they deploy something big, from an AI perspective, an LLM, or using a tool set, make sure that you do two things. One, do you understand your data? And I do it from a security perspective, you do it from a data governance perspective. What type of data do you house, and how has your customers, or how do you protect that data, including your employee information as well? And then the next part is, if I am going to deploy an AI of sorts, I want to make sure that I have a validation technique that still keeps humans in the loop to ensure that whenever the AI is spat out, that it's in fact true. So notice, I didn't say that it replaced somebody's job. I never said that we're getting rid of our workforce. We're not there. We're not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
We're not there at all. What I am saying is that there are innate skill sets that people have that we need to take advantage of. And the one thing I would tell people is to try to learn more. Become a SME, a true subject matter expert in your area, because that's what we need to make sure that we can normalize these things. So that once these processes can move faster, I can get back to the humanistic thing that we're good at, and that is being creative.
Right, absolutely, and I love that perspective, and that's such a clear explanation of this big, vague, transformative technology everyone loves to, pontificate about and wring their hands or get excited about, but really breaking it down to the only thing that's actually different right now is the access.
Yes.
And it's not just in our personal lives where we've sort of expanded who has access to AI in the regular, daily, mundane parts of life, but when you apply that same access concept to a business, an organization, in a professional context, it performs the same type of role where you are finding a way to take those really basic, mundane daily tasks that you do every day in your professional life and automate them so that you can spend your time doing the more humanistic endeavors and being creative and expanding.
Absolutely. And I do want to, another thing about that I think that sometimes we don't talk about, and this is expanding a little bit, but I always tell small businesses and mid-sized businesses, this is the opportunity for you to do some amazing things. I know that I was doing some research and working with a couple of universities, and something really cool that happened is that we were talking about the student population, and that you had students that didn't have access to a lot of technology suddenly having access to AI on their phone, whether it's a ChatGPT, a Copilot, Perplexity, we can name all of them, right?
Right, yep.
Suddenly with that, and using it as a partner to walk along with you, that's a big leg up, because before they would have to go hire a tutor, they would have to hire somebody to help them write their college essays and things of that nature. Now I have a tool that can help me with it, and notice I say help, not do all the work.
Yep.
Help.
Picked up. Yep.
Exactly. And it actually is allowing people to have more access. So if I have a small or mid-sized business, I'm going to tell you, go ahead and go to an MSP or a partner and see what they can do to help you out, because this is a beautiful opportunity for something that you maybe couldn't have had access to before because you had a smaller workforce, to be able to have more access. Specifically in the security world, think about data orchestration and things of that nature. When you're really looking at what's coming in your network, if you don't have a big SOC or a 24/7 SOC that's looking at all kinds of data, you kind of felt behind. But now as a smaller mid-sized organization, I can leverage that and suddenly my productivity can go up. It doesn't mean that the work is different. It just means from a productivity perspective, I can start focusing on what matters the most. That's the key.
Right, you have a technology that functions as a force multiplier.
Exactly.
That essentially functions as allowing as a smaller mid-sized business, one of your biggest limitations is people, is resources, and it allows you to not only get more for the resources that you have that are still limited, but it allows you to essentially perform functions that expand your employee count.
Yes.
That expand the capabilities of your human workforce.
Exactly.
Yeah, in a way that doesn't replace but enhances.
Exactly.
So when we're talking about companies, whether it's not necessarily specific to Lumen, but in general, that's obviously a larger organization to be connecting dots across and moving pieces on the board all around. For organizations, whether they are that size or the small and mid-sized businesses that you were talking about, where do you suggest they start? Because that oftentimes is a question that we get a lot in the consulting space of, okay, I hear all these things and I'm getting all of these pitches and I see all these products and everyone's telling me all these crazy things, but no one's actually saying, okay, start here. And you talked about data. Is that the answer? Is that where they should be starting in order to begin on this journey?
I think that's actually a trifold kind of answer. One, data. You have to understand what data you have, what data you own, what data you manage. Those are the things that are really, really key. I think that if you get into the data, you'll understand the areas that you probably need a little bit more help in, personally. But the second thing is go back to your mission. What are you trying to do? What problem does your organization solve for people? And I know that sounds really silly sometimes to people to say to get back down to the basics.
Yep.
But what are you actually trying to do? Many organizations find that they're trying to do everything. And maybe there's a lot in your stack, don't get me wrong, but if I had to narrow it down, what problem are we trying to solve, and how can I use a tool to help me do that faster, better, more efficient, looking at that. I think the third thing that's really important when you're starting to think about AI is don't forget about your workforce. And when I say that, a lot of times, a lot of people use Copilot, use the ChatGPTs and of the world, large language models, I'll put it that way. Invest in your people, help them understand how to prompt. Of course, me living in a security world.
Right.
I want to make sure you continue to follow the data handling and classification guides.
Don't prompt crazy.
Don't do anything crazy. But for example, if I have a sales team and they're working on a proposal and they got to get that done because that's how they're measured. Don't forget, a people thing.
Yep.
That's how they're measured. I want to make sure that you have the right tool sets to know how to get something out of that so that you can move faster and get that velocity while making sure that you're accurate. And so those are the three areas I tell people to focus on. One, get back down to the basics. What is your problem your business trying to solve? Second thing is, what data do you own? What data do you manage? Third thing, invest in your people. If you're going to start using an LLM to get some stuff done, at least make sure our people know how to use it the right way, because otherwise you're not going to see the productivity that you're looking for.
Right, absolutely. I that is such a clear 1, 2, 3 that really highlights it. So hopefully that is something that we can all grab. You hear these great little tidbits and phrases and things thrown around all the time, especially when we're talking LLMs. And you were just alluding to that, where it's only as good as the data you put into it. And the answer that you get out of it is only good as the question you ask.
Yes.
So you essentially have to make sure that you know what your data is as it goes into the model, and you have to make sure you're asking an intelligent question that is geared to get you the answer that you need. And when all those pieces come together, that's what I hear you saying.
Absolutely.
Is start with your data, make sure that piece going in is right, train your people so that they know what to ask, and then the combination of that at the end is where you get the business benefits.
Absolutely.
So
and notice, it's not just about writing a paper.
Right.
A lot of times people think I'm writing an email, I'm writing a paper. No, those are great benefits as well. But even if you're developing AI and things of that nature, and you're doing something a little bit more complex, it actually requires the same thing. What problem are we solving?
Right.
Do people know how to connect that to what they're doing? And more importantly, is that the right data set that they should be working with in order to get that done?
Right.
It can go across everything.
Right. So it really is a lot more basic and simple than.
I made it way too simple.
We like to oversimplify here because that is where you should start.
Absolutely.
We want to start at the basics. You want to start where something makes sense, because we get caught up in our head so often, especially in security, because we're spending half of our time thinking about what could be happening.
Absolutely.
And scaries that are coming down the road, because that's our job, is risk. Whether we know what those are or identifying what they could be. Half of it is paying attention to what's going on in the environment, what's moving around. There are so many different layers competing for our attention all the time.
Absolutely.
That when it comes to something that is truly going to have a transformative impact on your organization, ready or not, going back to the basics is where you have to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. So I love that. And so I have one more question before we let you go off and continue doing all of the wonderful smart things that you're doing here for us this week. What about this work draws you in every day? Is it the future? Is it what's coming? Is it what's here now? Tell me what that is for you, because I love that side of everyone's story, because cybersecurity tends to be a place where everyone comes to it for such a different, unique reason that it's really the part that connects all of us at the most basic level.
That's a really good question. I've said this to myself for many, many years, ever since I was an undergrad. I want to change the world one day at a time. I recognize that everyone wants to change the world in a day. That doesn't happen. And in my world, because I work in cyber, but I specifically work heavily in the governance, risk, and compliance arena. And I'm an organizational psychologist, so I think about operational models and how we work as a business simultaneously. And I recognize that, especially when I tie myself to an organization, I want to change the world one day at a time, and however I fit into that equation matters a lot to me. And doing it in a secure and ethical way means a great deal to me. I recognize that we get a chance to protect not only our personal information, our employees' information, we have government information. There's a lot of information, and there's some very sensitive things that we have to protect. Making sure we do it the right way while driving innovation simultaneously is possible. It's very well possible.
Yep.
And I like being a part of that story because it's a refreshing feeling, you know. I've seen it before in my previous life where you have that one grandmother, they didn't know that was a phishing email, you know what I mean? And we deployed something amazing, and that one child that worked for the company went back to their grandparent and said, hey, don't click on that.
Yep.
That changed that person's life in the most indirect way. And I feel like, especially as I look at my career today and everything I do, the mission is so great, and I get a chance to change lives through the most interesting way. So that's what motivates me.
Absolutely, I love that, and we're all grateful that you were on the team, and all grateful that you were in here one day at a time, and appreciate you taking time out of this day to come and talk to us. So thank you for listening to the Cyber Pro podcast, part of the Cybersecurity Summit here in Minneapolis, and our 2025 co-chair, Ms. Shayla Treadwell.
Yeah.
We're gonna send her back out into the wild to go continue her co-chairing duties, and thank you.
Thank you
really
very
appreciate
much.
being here.
That was awesome. Thank you.